What's up, everyone? I'm Nick, and today I'm going to show you how to install Integrated Engineering's FDS intercooler system. Huge thank you to the team at Integrated Engineering for helping out with this build. Their expertise and part support have been amazing. I really couldn't be happier with the fit and finish of their performance parts lineup. Now, you can always upgrade your intercooler, but it's especially recommended if you plan on tuning your car. It's really going to help with any heat soak issues. It'll mitigate those while increasing performance during those more spirited runs. I'm currently on a stage 2 mapping, so I've actually been meaning to get to this for a little while now. I don't beat on my car too much, but the build is starting to trend more towards track ready build. So that's what we're going to be looking forward to this coming summer. My build list is fairly long. I would go over it now, but I've got a habit of leaving quite a few things out when I am going over it. So if you're interested, I'll leave all that in a list below in the description. Who knows? I may even put out a quick video on all that I've done to the car. All right, enough talking. You're watching DAS GLI. Let's get into it. So to get started, we're actually going to take the front bumper cover off. It's held in by T25 Torxes. There's 4 of them. One here, one here, one here, and one here. While we're at it, try and keep good practices up. Every time I take a bolt out, throw it in a little plastic baggie and just label it. These are for the front bumper cover, so it's going to get labeled as such. When you're installing these components and putting everything back together after the intercooler's back in, it's also helpful to label the bolts themselves. I'm literally going to write T25 on this so that when I go back to put this front bumper cover back on, I know exactly what I'll need to get the job done. Now that we have the front bumper cover quite a bit loose, we're actually not going to be able to take the entire thing off yet until we start unclipping the rest of the fender. We're going to have to do jack the car up, get on jack stands, and take the wheels off, and then we're going to start taking some torque screws out of the wheel liner. Now we're going to get started on removing 3 T25 torque screws from this fender liner. First one being here, second one here, and then third one's up here. Remember, these baggies are going to become your best friends. We keep doing this throughout the whole project, so yeah, just a quick reminder. We actually missed one of these T25s. There is one, if you trace all the way up this liner, right here, you're going to see a little opening. Get into a better position. So it's going to be right next to that last T25, up and under, pretty much going straight up. Now that we have both wheel wells taken care of for us, we're actually going to move to the bottom of the front bumper and show you there are about 12, let me get the light over for us, 12 T25s that we're going to have to take care of. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, so we can get over there, 10, 11, and 12. There's 3, there's 4, think we're at number 6, 7. Not sure, I lost count. And last one. So it's completely symmetrical, left to right. All right, we got all of them. Don't lose these, bag them up, label them. All right, now that we got that one pin out from underneath of the car, we want to move over towards the belly pan. So there are, I believe, 3 T25 screws on either side. First one's here, second one's there, third one's there, and a series of relatively easy clips to get out. So let's take those out. I already got this one out, so this one. Right on. See, it's already starting to fall down. So now we're positioned towards the middle side of the belly pan. I thought that there was 3 T25 screws on the passenger side of the belly pan. There's actually 4. Just be wary of that. All right. Shift that under there. And I'm just gonna lift up a little bit and push out. There we go. Give it a quick shake just to make sure that, you know, things are loose. You can kind of see everything moving there. And first things first, I think the easiest way to kind of go about this is to actually work from the sides in, so that by the time you actually get to right about where the Volkswagen logo is, when things are about to fall to the floor, you can have, you know, a stable point of contact to actually catch it. You don't want this thing to drop and hit the ground. If you're working over concrete, asphalt, something, you're going to scratch the bottom side. B, the other thing too is you've got a sensor right here just behind the Volkswagen logo. So if the bumper actually does fall and hit the floor, the chances of it pulling on that sensor wire are pretty high. And we obviously don't want that to happen, so we're going to be careful, take this slow, and do it the right way. Now that we've checked and we're pretty sure everything is loose, we can get started. Pull this away, make sure you're pulling it directly out. If it gets snagged at all, let's try wiggling it back and forth a little bit. Let's see that one pop. There we go. That's all loose. Now I'm going to jump over to the other side and grab that. We're going to make use of some of these wheels that we have lying around. I'm just going to grab one of them, actually roll it over. I'm going to stick it underneath. If the bumper does fall, it's got some nice cushiony rubber to rest up on. There are some clips that we're going to have to worry about behind this front grill plate right here. We're going to move from outside in so that we don't have to worry about that sensor cable tearing on us. Sometimes you got to get creative. I've kind of got the tactical flathead screwdriver, and now we should be good to go. Oh yeah, that's working out perfect. So as you can see, I'm on the back side of the grill on the fender. What you're gonna see are these clips behind here. There's 3 of them going down the full way on the left side. There's one, and then there's one all the way back in here. And there are 3 more on the other side as well. You're gonna wanna apply some downward pressure with the screwdriver, the flathead. You're gonna push it in. It's gonna take a decent amount of pressure, just gradually push in. And while at the same time you're doing that, you're actually going to lift up on the fender. You might have to get a little bit creative with where you're actually holding the fender. Either stick your fingers into here to pull up on it while you're pushing into that clip. You may have to do that 3 times on this side and 3 times on that side. You should hear an audible disengagement of that clip. bumper cover's loose. Was able to get these 3 clips off on each side. There's actually a 4th one on each side, closest to each headlight. They're the biggest pain. Before we set this down, we do want to unclip that sensor. All right, now that we've pulled it out, you can kind of see the sensor right there. There's 2 tabs on each side. One here, one here. Squeeze them together, and it should release. We can go ahead and pull the entire fender off. It's important that you have a clear space to actually put this. I don't, so it's going right here until I can make some room. All right, so to give you a quick idea as to what we were up against there, these are the tabs that we were trying to poke out. So there's one right there, one right there, one right there, one right there, there. There's one that used to be there, but it got broken. And one right there. There's actually one wedged back here that we did not see for whatever reason. Wouldn't really have had access to it either way. I think it more or less just comes out on its own. We're gonna quickly take this air scoop out. It's just held in by, I think, 4 small clips. It really just should pop right out. There's one side, and there's the other side. And on either side of the crash bar, we actually have these rubber pieces, quite flexible, but there are maybe 1 or 2 clips that hold them in. That's the left side. This is the right side. We're just going to pry that down just a tad, and what it's going to do is allow us to pull that out, just like that. As we are taking this off, I've realized something. We actually have another sensor right here. There's a clip on the back side. All right, so we're just gonna come in here and use our pry tool to gently flip it up. And at this point, we should be able to release it. There we go. This top side sensor, we want to make sure we pull that away from the crash bar. There's some clips here, so just pull them right out. Make sure that wire's out of the way, and probably the easiest spot for this to go, just tape it right up here. Before we take the core crash bar off, I'm gonna have to actually take a couple more trim pieces off. We got one T25 right behind here. It's the same on the other side, and then one more directly in the middle. There's 3. And now this thing should hopefully come out. One side. Last side. I'm going to start from the middle. These 2 T25 torque screws, since we've already got that bit out. Loosen them up. Now that we got those 2 T25 torque screws out, this hood latch is going to be a little bit loose, but that's okay. So we're actually going to move to the side. There's quite a number of different tools we're going to need over here. A T25 again. We're also going to need a 5/8 socket and an M10 triple square. We got the first, I think that's a T25. Let's double check. I think that actually might be a T30, so let's switch that out. All right, so we got one of the T30s out, and now we're gonna go ahead and remove the last T30. All right, now we got that out. Now we're gonna come in here with our 5/8 socket. I have it a little bit on a longer extension. We got 4 of them, 4 bolts, one here, one here, and then one back behind as well. Lock them up. Before we remove this last bolt here, we're going to need an M10 triple square to remove this bracket right here. And once we remove that, we're just going to position it out of the way. We don't want that tied to the core support bracket. Just watch out for that wire. And now once you get this bolt all the way out, you're going to angle it up a little bit. And it should allow this entire horn assembly out, and then you can just kind of dangle it, position it right there. But now we're actually going to leave this bolt alone, go and do the other side, then we can remove it. Once that last bolt comes out, the whole thing's going to want to move forward and fall off. And there's really nothing standing in its way, so you guys should be good. We could actually come back, now that we got the crash bar out, to this flexible bit that we were after before. There's one more clip that we got to take off, and then I believe maybe another clip right behind here, but let's focus on this one first. So get our flathead in there, push in. There we go. So we got that one, and now the bottom here. Pull up once you get that clip loose. Pull up and then out, and then repeat on the other side. All right, here's the fun part. We're gonna drain the coolant. What we're gonna be focused on right now is this passenger side coolant pipe. There we go. So on the side of that, there is a metal clip. You're gonna need to use a pry tool to get in between that metal clip and the piping. Pull it out towards the passenger fender wall. Once that clip is popped out, you should be able to pull that coolant pipe out, and the coolant's gonna drain from the bottom. You're going to make sure that you've got some stuff underneath. A drip pan, maybe a funnel. Don't laugh at me, but I got doggy pee pads in case there's some spillage. We're gonna come in there with a pry tool. Come straight in through the side, get our pry tool in there, and all you're gonna do is just pop it out. Once you pop it, then just wiggle the pipe off. While we're under here, we can go ahead and remove the boost piping. Just grab your flathead, remove these hose clamps. I went ahead and took out my cold air intake system. Okay, we got the charge pipes off on both sides. We're gonna get the last coolant hose off. This is the same thing that we did on the bottom side of the car. Get your pick tool and pull straight up. Just wiggle it back and forth. We got that detached. Not much coolant draining out, so that's good. Means we got most of it out. I think our next course of action here is going to be removing the radiator fans. Now on the driver's side of your car, there's going to be your plug that controls your fan down here. You want to disengage it by pulling up using a pry bar, something like that, on the red tab. Lift it up just a little bit. Try and get it popped up for you. It's popped up. Then you're going to push in on it slightly while also pushing down on it with something like a flathead screwdriver to actually pop the cable out. After you remove the electrical connector for the radiator fan, first we have these clips right here on either side. I'd suggest pushing down on the radiator fan a little bit while pushing into the clips, and then pull up slightly. It should disengage, and do the same on the other side. Now that we got both sides of the fan unclipped, it should be able to come loose, and should be able to pull it right out of here. You can get a little bit more clearance by taking your windshield wiper fluid reservoir off of where it's currently clamped. Just put a flathead screwdriver right behind this clip right here. Lightly press on it, be sure not to break that. Should give you a little bit more wiggle room. So we got the fan fully out. We're going to work on the radiator. I was working on removing these two top side clips on either end to remove the back side of the radiator. That's proven to be quite the pain in the ass, so I'm having to improvise a little bit. What I did do, which I think is going to give us the clearance we need to take both the intercooler and the backside radiator out, is work on these C-clamps right in here. If you see other videos, you'll see they're a little bit tricky to get out. That really honestly wasn't the case for myself. These two, it's actually one entire assembly for the C-clamp. They will be protruding through these two slots. What you're going to do is take a flathead screwdriver to one end up top, press down on it quite a bit and in. You're only going to have to push in just a tad so that the back side of the tabs fall past the black plastic part, keeping the clip inside the housing. Do that again for the bottom. Once you think that both the top and the bottom are clear, then you're going to want to use something a little bit smaller and drive straight through this hole. You'll see it kind of matches up with the inside of that C-clip, and just give it a slight bang and it should back itself away. Now that we have that taken care of, we're going to want to make sure that we detach the AC condenser from the intercooler. They're held in by these slots on the inside. First things first, I'm just going to push this guy up a little bit, get that loose. This plastic bit should come all the way out. Kind of same thing, push up, whole thing should release. Do the same thing on the other side, and then we can worry about these little grooves right here. We can work on these top side clips. You're gonna have to get something like a flathead, push in right here at the bottom of the clip, press it in and lift it out. I don't have any zip ties, so I just literally folded two pieces of electrical tape together. I'm just gonna come through the back side here. This may or may not work, but it's all I got. And all this is just prevent the condenser from falling. We're gonna work on getting the intercooler and radiator out. It's quite the tight fit in here. And we actually were able to drop it through the bottom. Again, the car's on jack stand, so you're going to need that clearance, and then I guess we tilt it at like a 30-40 degree angle and you should be able to wiggle it out. But we still have to deal with those clips. Managed to get one side off, and now we're going to work on the other side. Well, one of them isn't broken. Those clips were a pain in the ass. Like I said, we were able to get this one undone. You can kind of see it right there. Let me try and focus in. There we go. See, it's all mangled a little bit. That clip goes right into there. It holds the radiator and intercooler together. And on this side, finally managed to get it out, but the thing freaking snapped. It was a great ass time. They're actually, once you free up the top, you have to free them up from these little grooves. So you're going to do that by pulling the radiator straight up and out. Next step is to remove these C-clamps. So once we get those off, put on the new one, we'll look to pretty much do everything in reverse. You may have to come in on the back side with a little pry tool and just do that while wiggling your way out. There we go. There's one. Now let's do the other side. New intercooler. We're going to get those plastic seat clamps on there. Make sure they are oriented correctly. There is a right way and a wrong way to put these on, so be careful about that. You just want to make sure that the actual clip part of the C-clip is facing opposite of the boost inlet on the bottom of the intercooler. So go ahead and slide them on, and we should be able to move to actually getting this in there. So before we go ahead and actually drop the intercooler, and we just want to make sure that we are aware of where the intercooler actually drops in and locks into place at. So we're going to have two mounting points on either side. So the first one's going to be right here. There's the second one. All right, we got it underneath, and we're going to try and wiggle it up as best we can. As we get to a certain point, I should be able to pull it from the top. Lift it up and in. Ooh, there we are, way off. There's one, and there's two. We're in there, boy. Now we are going to secure these tabs onto our new intercooler so we can lock the AC condenser in place. Grab the tab, your set screw, and just go in there. I think this is a 3mm. I don't want to have it too tight because we still want to be able to get the AC condenser on there. Do the same on the other side, and don't forget we got the two on the bottom as well. There we go. I'm just going to actually push the C-clamps back in to put some pressure on from the back side. Pull it towards us, and it should lock right into place. Before we mess with anything else, I'm actually going to make sure that these are in there, secured in place, and I think we should be a-okay. Intercooler's in place. AC condenser is snapped into the front of the intercooler. Now we're going to come over to the back side and lift the radiator in. We were actually able to wiggle the radiator back in from the top, which was good. The bottom was going to be a royal pain in the ass if we were forced to do that. So there are some clips on the bottom of the intercooler you're going to want to make sure that you get in and aligned. Make sure we're lined up with the top side clips as well. We are snug fit into the back side of the intercooler, the radiator. So there's a clip right here at the bottom. I'll show you guys the other side. You'll probably be able to see this one a little bit better. Right here, right behind this AC condenser line. Now we are top side again. We've got these annoying ass radiator clips we got to contend with now. They are all the way right there. This time we don't have to worry about the plastic bridge that goes over top of the clip. We've got metal ones now. They should just kind of snap into place. Press down on the top of that clip on the radiator side a little bit. This is what's going to help us get it in there. Flathead. We're going to put downward pressure on, and we're just going to bash it in there. Just going in. All right, now that we've got our clips on both sides in place, we can get started on putting this crash bar back on. I'm actually going to start with the middle assembly here. So let's get to to work on that. We're going to work on a bracket. So all that leaning on the top side of this fender, it's got things a little bit out of wonk. So what we're going to do is push up on the bottom core support here as much as we can. Push it up, get that aligned, hold in. I'm going to throw two T30s in. Once we got our 4 bolts in, to the crash bar support, as well as our 2 T30s, holding everything to the core support, we should be good to go with putting our horn back in. I am using an M10 triple square. What you're going to do is tilt it straight up to get the back side of this bracket in, and then down. Just get the thread started. Now we're going to put our side ducting pieces back on. There we go. Keep coming. All right. Get that over. Use something to push that clip in. Before I forget, I want to reconnect this sensor. We're going to put this front bracket back on. Three T30 screws. Now we're going to put the fan back in. So we're moving back up to the top side of the car. Oh well. Pretty much dropped it all the way through the front, only to back up through the bottom again. It's going to be a little bit of a tighter fit. Let's pull this all the way up. Shove that fan connector back up before we forget to plug it back in. We're going to want to get the coolant line back on, and then once we have it secure, just go ahead and push down on that. Now for the top side coolant line, pop up, and then click down. Now we can put our boost pipes back on. I'm going to throw some dielectric grease onto the boost pipe threads just to make our life a little bit easier. Make sure you got your clamps on. All right, now let's do the other side. All right, guys, well, there you have it. As you can tell, I was quite focused towards the end there, trying to get the bumper back on. Just take your time and all will be okay. Of course, don't forget to clip and fasten back in your belly pan, screw back in your wheel liner, and put your wheels back on. And if you took out the intake system like me, you're going to want to put that back on too. Lastly, if you did go ahead and drain the coolant, Volkswagen does have a refill procedure, which I'll detail in the description below. I use Xerox G40, the 50-50 mixture. It should be good for most Audis, Mercedes, Volkswagen, and Porsche vehicles. I did also go ahead and check with some of my friends over at Volkswagen. Did get the okay on G40 for Mark 7 GLI, so we should be good there. If you really need more help, let me know in the comments below, and I'll do my best to go ahead and detail the process. I hope this video was helpful. I know I struggled to find much of anything on YouTube in the way of install guides that were specific to Mark 7 GLIs and above. I do have more helpful content coming, so stay tuned, and I'll catch you in the next one. pry tool down there. Great. And it just fell straight into the fucking coolant. Now we're going to want to get the coolant line back on. And remember, there goes my light.